Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's main event featuring brother versus brother. In the red corner, from Indianapolis, Indiana, an ER doctor, a Christian, a Republican, Dr. David Blank. And in the blue corner, hailing from San Francisco, California, a computer scientist, an atheist, a Democrat, Dr. Doug Blank. Now it's time for the Blanks to rumble!
Hey, welcome YouTube viewers. This is Blank versus Blank. Today we are going to talk about a topic that should be easy to find commonality on, abortion. So stay tuned.
So you want to talk about abortion, huh?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know if I want to or not, but you know, it's an interesting problem. Can we find a point of agreement on something as controversial as abortion?
Perhaps, but it depends on really, I think, what you're talking about. Can we find a point of agreement as to like whether it should be or whether it should not be? Probably not. Can we find some agreement on based on the pragmatic and political realities that we live in? Maybe.
So here's a question. What would you like to have changed in the United States regarding abortion?
Well, I guess from the standpoint that it's killing unborn babies, you know, the point that most pro-life people would say that we just shouldn't allow it. It's law. I don't see that it's going to get overturned. So then the question becomes the realities of making it something that's available only when necessary. So I'm returning the question back to you. What would you want to see changed about abortions in the United States?
Just to make sure that it's safe and access is easy for the women that want it or need it. Pretty simple.
Yeah, so there's the question, whether you want it or whether you need it. And I think that's kind of a dividing line, is it's already available if you need it. There are no restrictions if you need it.
Well,
I work in a Catholic hospital, and if you come in with an ectopic pregnancy or if there's a danger to the mother's life, even in a Catholic hospital, we don't even think twice about doing a procedure to take care of the mom, unless the mom refuses it. But if a mom comes in, she's got an ectopic pregnancy, it's a unviable pregnancy that's a danger to the mom, even in a Catholic hospital, we have no qualms about taking care of that.
okay. But of course, that's decided by the doctor or the hospital staff that really is independent of what the woman feels or needs or anything about her intentions.
No, we still have that discussion with her. We tell her that this is, you know, the pregnancy is in a wrong spot. It is not
right. But
viable. It's a danger to you. And the mom can still refuse to have that procedure done.
Yeah, I didn't mean to imply that you were going to abort that fetus no matter what. But I meant that any of the feedback from the woman comes after that decision. A woman couldn't come in and she could say, you know, I feel like my life is in danger. Can I have an abortion? No, that wouldn't fly in what you described.
Well, that's a whole different discussion. It's like, why do you feel your life is in danger? I mean, we would still take care of that patient. I mean, there's still some issue there if she feels that her life is in some kind of danger.
Yeah, but it's completely independent of, like you say, of her wants or her desires. If she came in and just said, "I would like to have an abortion," that wouldn't work.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, it
So
seems.
I guess to be clear, uh, I'm drawing a line between whether something is a necessary procedure or whether it's an elective procedure.
Okay, that seems legitimate, and I guess for many people in the United States, deciding to have a baby is something that the mother should be able to elect to do or not.
See, and there is a point of agreement. I completely agree with you on that sentiment.
That if a woman didn't want to have a baby, she should be able to have an abortion.
No, that's not at all what I said. A
I
woman should
thought.
be able to decide if she's going to get pregnant and have a baby.
Oh, okay. I didn't say that. So you were agreeing with something that you didn't understand.
You can go back and play it, but you pretty much said that a woman can decide if she's going to have a baby.
Yeah. So let's say that she's pregnant and she's like,
Well,
you
then,
know,
well, so here's a point of nuance, but I don't think it's terribly nuanced. Is before you decide if you're going to have an abortion or continue with the pregnancy, you should back up and decide whether you're going to have a pregnancy. That's where the decision lies. Once once you've robbed the bank, it's too late to decide, oh, am I going to rob the bank or not? You've already done it. So there are decisions that we make every day, and deciding whether you're going to have unprotected sex is a decision that you make that could lead to a pregnancy. I think it was the feminist Alyssa Milano, or was it Rose McGowan, in kind of a protest to Arkansas's law that kind of put some restrictions on abortion. She said, if you can't get pregnant, if pregnancy is going to ruin your life, then you should withhold sex to kind of punish these people in Arkansas. And I thought she made the case perfectly, although she didn't mean to make the case, is it's within a woman's power to decide whether or not you're going to get pregnant. And
well,
that's where the decision needs to, in my opinion, that's where the decision lies. Once you're pregnant, it's too late.
so that implies if you get raped, that you got to have that child.
Nope. And I think I can find some common ground with you there, that in cases of rape or incest, then I'm going to say that in our society, I will not get in the way of a woman deciding what she wants to do with that pregnancy. That was not her doing.
Well, I do have to strongly agree with you on your wording about getting in the way. I think
Yeah.
that's
In fact, in our Catholic hospital, if a woman comes in who has been raped, and again, Catholic hospital with Catholic teachings and Catholic beliefs, we provide women with morning after pills, as well as all kind of STD prophylaxis right there on the spot. If we counsel them, and if they want that and desire that, we don't have any qualms at all about providing that for them.
Well, that sounds like the way it should be across the board. It seems like if you can let that baby die, what's the issue here?
See, and now you're kind of drawing a different equivalency. So you're saying that a baby that's conceived against the will of the mother is equal to all other babies that are conceived and have all the same rights. I'm saying that in those circumstances, then I'm gonna go with the law as it stands. I'm not gonna try to. I'm trying to meet you halfway. I'm trying to find some commonality and some agreement. The reality is, uh, pregnancies from rape or incest is a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of pregnancies that result in abortion.
Yeah.
Most of them are for convenience only, and I think that's wrong.
Okay. Well, I think that that's a place that we can definitely agree to disagree. That I completely believe that it is a woman's body, and no matter how she got pregnant, if it was a rape or a unwanted, in any way, if she decides that she does not want to have that child, she could take that morning after pill, and that would be the end of it.
Yeah. So I do agree with a little nuance you kind of threw out there that it is a child. And I will point out the fact that once you are pregnant, uh, a lot of people in the pro-choice community like to talk about fetal tissue, or they use all kind of other euphemisms other than saying it's a child, but it has distinct DNA that is not the mother's and it's not the father's. It's a unique individual. It's a DNA that doesn't exist anywhere else on the planet. And to try and treat that like it's a cancer or a tumor or something that is in the woman, but it's not alive, I think is where most of us would kind of draw our line that that's trying to think of the best way to put it. It's just not true. I mean, from an embryological standpoint, from a biology standpoint, it's a unique living organism with unique DNA that is replicating that you're putting an end to.
Yeah, I think that's fine. You can call it a baby, a child, a person, whatever you want to try to humanize it as best you can. But that thing, whatever you want to call it, is inside the woman, and the woman has complete control over what happens to that. That's just my opinion, and you've said yours. So I think that we
Yep.
can come to an agreement that we're
Yeah.
not going to resolve
So
this one.
no, and we probably have, I think we probably found more agreement than I ever thought we probably would have. Although I'm not sure after we're done with this if we'll come away with the same points that we believe we agreed on. But one last question. So for you, when does life begin?
Yeah, you've asked me that before, and I think my answer was, and I think I still stand by this. It began like about 5 billion years ago. Life is a
No,
baton.
not life in general.
No,
When does a life begin?
So I think that's the wrong question. We'll wrap this up, but I think the idea that a single entity is either alive or not alive is, I mean, if you are frozen, are you dead or are you alive? Well, that's not really the right question. In fact, I mean, if you thaw a person out and they come back to life, then they're alive.
Yeah.
If
Well, you're talking about somebody who was alive, and are they still alive? I'm talking about uh, at what point in the reproductive cycle
Yes, I know.
do you become
Yeah.
alive?
Well, I think it's the wrong way to look look at biology. I think what you have to look at is that life is a process that started about 5 billion years ago, and it's been handed down through a chain of events, and it continues on today. And that's a good way to think about it. I think that's more accurate than trying to decide if a virus is alive or not.
Yeah, but in our context of the abortion question, it's an important question. And it's actually the crux of the legal question with the Supreme Court. Sandra Day O'Connor famously quoted that Roe versus Wade was on a collision course with itself because of the language that it used. And then after that, other cases where, so Roe versus Wade divided everything by trimesters. And for people who say, I support Roe versus Wade, they don't understand Roe versus Wade, because Roe versus Wade allowed or forbid any abortions in the third trimester. And it put no restrictions on abortions in the first trimester, but the second trimester, it opened up any kind of restrictions that the states felt were necessary that didn't put some undue burden. It was kind of vague language.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Here's another place where we can find agreement on this, is that Roe v. Wade is not the right language. It's not the right.
But even in subsequent cases, the dividing line was viability. And as we move further along, viability gets closer and closer and closer to the point of conception. And I think that from that standpoint too, people who are pro-choice are going to run into troubles if you can't define when life begins.
Well, like I say, here's another point that I think that we can agree. It doesn't have anything to do with a definition of viability or trimesters. It really comes down to a woman, her body, and what is contained inside that body. And I really don't think the government has any business trying to inject itself into any of those biological processes.
Yeah. And that's where I kind of thought we would probably end up.
Okay.
In the larger scheme.
Well, speaking of ending up, I think we've just ended up. So let's shake hands on this one, and I'll talk to you later.
Next time, let's pick something that we're like going to have a harder time coming to agreement with.
Like God?
Maybe.
Okay. See ya.
All righty.